Hi everyone, today we are here at Kaiwara, a quaint little town which is located about 60 to 65 kilometers from Bangalore. It's a good one day outing for the family. So, just to tell you a few things about Kaiwara which you may not know, Kaiwara bears historical significance as it has been connected to the great epics Ramayana and Mahabharata. Apart from this, it has also borne witness to the life and times of the saint Narayana or Kaiwara Thathayya, who was a great saint of his time and wrote a book about the future of mankind bearing a number of prophecies. In the Mahabharata, we also have Bhima who slays Bakasura, and the legend has it that this particular episode took place in Kaiwara. So also in the Ramayana, when we have Lakshmana, Rama and Sita passing by, they actually get thirsty and Lakshmana fires an arrow and water springs from the ground. So this place is truly interesting, mystical, and it has many hidden stories to tell. So let's begin.
Today we are here to really pay homage to the memory of a really great saint who has traversed these parts of Karnataka in the past. His name goes by Kaiwara Thathayya, also called Narayana Yatindra. The story goes something like this. We are talking about the early 1800s, late 1700s. That's the time frame in which Kaiwara Thathayya lived. His father was actually a bangle seller or bangle trader of a pretty ordinary background, nothing much to speak of. His mother was a very devout homemaker. Basically, the husband and wife were somehow able to eke out an existence using this trade. This gentleman, Kaiwara Thathayya, was born to them. He really took to the scriptures. He was extremely devoted, pious, very devoted to God since his childhood. And as he attained maturity, he got married, and also he had to take over the business of his father, which was obviously to continue the trade of selling bangles. A few observations that we need to make here is that Kaiwara Thathayya was especially not talented in trade and business. He really struggled to make a living out of selling bangles. His wife was very immature and of a very ill temperament, who would always put enormous amounts of pressure on her husband to sell more bangles and earn more money. Fortunately or unfortunately for Kaiwara Thathayya, when he was a young man and married, he was not that interested in selling bangles. He was not very clever. In fact, there are occasions where when people would turn up to buy bangles without money, and he would give it away free of cost to them, not asking for a pie and just asking for blessings of Mahalakshmi. So he was a very devout person, a person who lacked the cunning and the intelligence and the trade secrets that are needed to run the business of a trader. So as time went through, things got worse in his personal life. His wife piled on him in terms of scolding him, abusing him for not being able to support the family. So one fine day what happens is that on a certain night when he was returning after selling bangles, he got actually caught in a tropical thunderstorm. And it so happened that it was raining really bad, and he had no choice but to stand prostrate, pray to God for the rain to abate so that he could continue his journey back to his house. So at that point, lo and behold, as the rain subsided, there appeared a certain rishi, a Paradeshika rishi, who suddenly appeared out of nowhere. And he also had a hermitage just a few furlongs away from where Thathayya was standing as a young man. Sorry for the irony, Thathayya and young man, but it's okay, jokes apart. So Thathayya was very intrigued and fascinated by this rishi. He goes and meets this rishi, who initiates him into a particular mantra which he is supposed to chant. One of the things that the Paradeshika Swami would have told him is that the moment the stone pebble that you put in your mouth, the moment that stone pebble turns into a sugar candy, that's the moment you are liberated, and that's the moment you have achieved the objective of the mantra. So Kaiwara Thathayya feels very happy and gratiated that he met somebody of great personage, and makes his prostrations, and then he heads back. And just as he turns back, he realizes that the hermitage and the rishi are gone. They have just disappeared into thin air. So this just goes to show the spiritual destiny of Yatindra, also known as Kaiwara Thathayya, who was destined for something else but got caught up in the whirlpool of samsara. So now with these blessings he heads home, but once again our patron saint has not done much business on the day. So his wife goes into a rage and scolds him, abuses him and asks him to get out and become a sannyasi. At which point our saint actually finds his calling. He says, yes, this is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a sannyasi, get out of samsara and just go my merry way and pursue my single-minded devotion of God. So he leaves his wife and his house and his belongings alone and he heads to the hills. Our friend heads into this kind of a secluded cave in the mountains and he basically swallows a pebble, but doesn't obviously swallow it. He just keeps it in his mouth by the side of his tongue, and he starts meditating, and he meditates for a good 3 years. Thereafter, at the end of 3 years, the pebble in his mouth turns into sugar candy, confirming that the mantra has delivered the fruit that it so promised in the beginning. Okay. Thereafter, he starts attaining miraculous powers and siddhis, which he starts exhibiting in public. So he would give out pebbles to children and say it is sugar candy, and they would take it in their mouth and it would actually become sugar candy. Some of his naysayers, some of his critics try to debunk him by playing tricks with him, but they all fail and eventually become his devout followers. But thereafter he didn't stop. So he went on to write this very famous scripture called the Kalagnana, which was basically a set of predictions and prophecies involving the future. And actually, I have actually read the book very briefly. Kalagnana basically is a literal translation of the knowledge of time, which, in common parlance would basically mean a foresight and a foreknowledge of happenings that will happen in the near to distant future. So, this gentleman went on to predict many things about India's independence, India's socio-economic welfare. He went on to predict the post-independence era with Indira Gandhi, assassination of Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi. So such is the greatness of the man who had that, foresight to see these kind of events happening, and he wrote it down in his book. So I think besides this, so his samadhi is to be found at the Vaikunta Guha, which anybody can visit once they arrive in Kaiwara, and you can also see the idol of Yoga Narasimha and many other statues of the sage himself. The sage is very widely worshipped in these parts and he is very well known. So next time if you come to Kaiwara, please be sure to drop by Thathayya cave, come to Sri Kailasa Kshetra also, have a view, get a view of the surroundings and the scenery. You will go back with really fond memories. Thank you.